Hey y'all, your friendly neighborhood Kate back here again with some more stories. Stories of the weird and unusual and what the heck was that? Things that I have personally experienced. These are not stories from other people. These are all Kate. And there are other characters, of course, in these stories. It's not just me alone, but yeah, these are my experiences, and so I'm sharing them with you. So this story is from when I was 7, and you might get a twofer today. We're gonna see where this video goes because this story has connections to 2021 as well, which was pretty crazy to me that it extended for that long, but we'll see if we get there or if that's a story for another day. But for now, 7 years old, and I was at an 8th birthday party for my best friend, and I was raised like in a very Christian environment, going to church, Sunday morning, Sunday night, going to prayer meetings during the week, that kind of thing. And I mean, it was a very close community. We did lots of potlucks, there's a lot of good in there. Yeah, so we didn't have cable or anything like that. The odd time my parents would go to the video store and rent a VCR. Y'all remember those days? And we would like rent Disney movies, but I mean, Disney was like the maximum of entertainment that we were allowed to have as a kid. Mom was trying to keep us safe from all the bad stuff. But I remember being at this birthday party, and there was 8 girls there. It was an 8th birthday party, and we were playing around, and it was in March, so it was cold. I'm up in Canada, so there would have been snow on the ground at that point. Maybe not. I mean, sometimes March is nicer, but it would have been cold out still. And so we were inside and, trying to figure out games to play. We're kind of just, you don't want to play Barbies with that many girls because it can get a little crazy doing that. But we were playing different games and stuff like that. And we kind of like tapped out on the planned games, I guess. And somehow I must have gotten a download because I'd never heard of this game or anything like it at all. Like I had zero exposure to anything like this, but all of a sudden I was like, well, I know a game. Why don't we play Light as a Feather, Stiff as a Board? And everyone's like, oh, what's that? So I'm like, oh, I'll explain it. And so we got one of the girls to lie down, and I was at the head, and there were 3 girls on each side. And just to preface all this, I had always been the tallest girl, probably up until like grade 10. I'd always been like the tallest girl in my friend group. So just keep that in mind. So I'm up at the head, and so I got everyone, to put their 2 fingers just underneath her body, and I had like just 2 fingers just underneath the head right there. And so I just told everyone, we're just going to close your eyes, and we're just going to keep saying light as a feather, stiff as a board. And then when I tell you to, just slowly start to rise up and, get up off your bums and stand up, and we'll see what happens. So we start doing it, and everyone's got their eyes closed, and I could feel the energy moving, right? And so at a certain point, I'm like, okay, everyone slowly just start to rise up and just keep on saying what you're saying. And so we do that, and everyone's doing this, and we're raising this girl up. I have my eyes closed too. Got to keep that in mind. So we're all doing this together, and it was, probably maybe 3 or 4 minutes in when I realized all of a sudden that not only do I have my hands extended like right as far over my head as possible, but I was also on my tippy toes. And I was like, whoa, my brain kicked in, right? I was like, what is going on? And I opened my eyes and realized that the girl who had been lying down was hovering above my fingers about that far. And at that point, I went, and I pulled my hands back, and she started to fall, and everyone else opened their eyes and caught her before she hit the ground. And so we put her down, and kind of freaked everybody out, of course. And you could feel the energy in the room, like, ooh, it was crazy energy, and not something that, you know, we would have experienced as a kid. So, you know, all of a sudden I was like, okay, everyone, let's get our coats on. Let's go outside and let's go play somewhere else. So that's what we did. Didn't say anything to the adults. They were in the other room, you know, chit-chatting and having tea, that kind of thing. My mom would have been there because my best friend's mom was also her best friend, so worked out perfectly. And so, yeah, we left that room immediately, didn't talk about it at all. It was just because everyone was kind of, I think probably everyone was a little bit rattled, or not, maybe not rattled, but kind of confused as to what had happened. Yeah. So I lived out of town at that point in my life, and so we had about a 15-minute drive home at that point, and we were driving. I was with my mom and in the back seat, and I remember us driving down the highway, and I'm like, Mommy, I gotta talk to you about something that happened at this party. I don't understand it. She's like, oh, okay. And so I explained it to her, and all I really got to was that, you know, we played this game, and then this girl was floating above my fingers, and my mom very uncharacteristically slammed on the brakes of the car, hit the shoulder, which was gravel. I very much thought we were going to go off the road and flip, just with how suddenly she did it. Slammed on the brakes and, you know, threw it into park, undid her seatbelt very, very, you know, not dramatically, but maybe violently would be the word, and spun in her seat, and, you know, again, got the mom finger out and was like, Kathleen, that never happened. How dare you lie? Don't ever say anything like that again. And again, I'm, you know, if you've seen my other story, my first memory, you'll know, like, kind of deer in the headlights, like, oh my gosh, I don't understand what's happening here. Like, I'm trying to tell my mom a story that had happened to me, and I needed help understanding it, and she was just shooting it down. And I understand now that it was outside of her wheelhouse. She didn't know how to deal with it. She didn't understand what was going on, and in her worldview, what I was saying would have been considered very, very evil. And actually, I believe that she used that word, like, that's evil, and so I didn't know what to do with that. I didn't talk about it with anyone until probably I was in my teenage years, and I would tell a few friends, and they'd be like, "Oh, okay." But I could do some other weird things, so I'm not sure that they didn't, you know, question whether I could or not, or it had happened. But at that time, I really took on myself that, again, my mom didn't understand the things that were happening with me, that I could do things that other people couldn't do, and I knew things that other people didn't know. And it was at that point that I started to believe that maybe I was evil, and I didn't feel evil, so it was a very confusing thing. Like, I love people, I love humans, I love loving people, and so I felt so very conflicted in my wee little heart there. And yeah, little Katie was super confused at that time. So that continued on right through my teenage years, just feeling more and more evil, the more weird things that would happen with me, right? Things that I couldn't talk to my mom. I stopped talking to her about any of those weird things because I didn't want those reactions coming from my only safe person at that time. You know, I needed her to be a rock, I guess. And if I rattled her, she couldn't be a rock. So I just kept to myself. So she could be the safe version of herself that I needed her to be. That's how I see it now. So I'm going to continue with the story. So in 2021, my now ex-husband, he had an unfortunate injection that a lot of people ended up having that year, and he became injured and ended up in the hospital. Started looking like a Parkinson's patient and shaking and stuff like that. And so we were in the hospital for a good 2 weeks in August of that year. And I had been having dreams, daydreams mostly. Like, I remember them when I were awake. They weren't sleeping ones, but I get that a lot of the time. And it was to message and connect with one of the girls that was at that party from when I was 7 years old. And we were friends on Facebook. We had gone to high school and stuff together, but we didn't talk at all. Like, it would probably really been about 20 years, like maybe other than like just commenting on something on a Facebook post or something, but we hadn't talked. But I kept on getting these messages and, you know, putting it off because I was still learning about my intuition and to follow through and, you know, be guided. And so when I was going to the hospital every day with my ex, I was there for like 12 hours a day. This woman reached out to me and she was like, hey, any chance you want to do a video call? And I'm like, actually, 100% chance I would like to do a video call with you. And so I went outside of the hospital one day and we went on video, and I knew that I had to ask her about that. So I was like, hey, how you doing? You know, I have the weirdest thing to start off, you know, start our conversation, but do you remember so-and-so's 8th birthday party? And her response to me was, yeah, the one where we levitated someone. And I almost fell off the rock that I was sitting on because I didn't even have to ask her about it. I had spent at least 20 years, 30 years thinking that I was crazy, that it's entirely possible that I had made this up, that, yeah, a whole lot of different things about it. And here she was, totally unprompted, totally, you know, without me really asking anything more than just, do you remember the birthday party? And she got right to the point and she knew. And I was floored, and I believe I started crying, and she just held space for me because she is that lovely soul. And yeah, it was a beautiful moment for me because it was an affirmation from spirit to follow my intuition. I was being led towards her, and she just affirmed some things for me, things that I could do, and that I was connected, and yeah, and so we had some great conversations from there. And I mean, she is one of my closest people now. I have learned so much from her. She was the one who attuned me for my Reiki mastership, and yeah, it was a beautiful story in terms of like coming all together. But you know, in that in between was very, very dark for me because I like genuinely either thought I was crazy, or my brain was making stuff up, or if it was real, that I was evil. And like I spent a lot of dark times, and you know, tried to make myself not be here sometimes because of some of those false stories that I was told about myself and the things that I had experienced. So this beautiful woman just kind of putting an end to that for me was just so infilling into my soul. And yeah, it was a long story. I have quite a few of those, like, long drawn out where, the beginning and the end are very, very far apart. But um, it's a beautiful way that, the universe and spirit kind of connects the flow and the threads of my life, right? And yeah, you can look back then and see kind of the beautiful tapestry of your life coming together and all the cool ways and the ways that it's woven together and the people that, come in and out. And it's one of my favorite stories that I have. And yeah, so for those of you out there that have experienced levitation before, totally believe you. I have seen it. I've experienced it. It is a crazy feeling. And I fully believe that I will be able to work with people and do that. Again, probably could do it now. I think it's my own brain that's kind of in the way, to be honest, because I don't 100% believe in myself at the moment. Just still trying to build some of that up and deprogram some of the things that I've taken on myself over the last, 30 plus years of not believing in me. So yeah, but I'm going to get there, and I can't wait for that time. And you bet yourself that I will tell you that story when it happens too. So that's, yeah, that is a 30 plus year story for you there. And for those of you who know, I love you. I see you. I'm thankful for you. And for those of you who haven't experienced this, open up your mind. There's a lot going on out there that you can't see, and it's experiential and it's energetic, and you've got to trust your heart and trust your gut and follow that, because the universe, I guarantee you, is speaking to you. You're just not listening with the right way. We're told you only listen with your brain. Emotions are silly, and your gut lies to you, and that's not the truth. You've been lied to in being told that your brain and logic are the way to go, because logic is just a way of limiting thought processes. And I think it'd be pretty silly to have an entire body that we're supposed to ignore when it's giving us all these signals, don't you? So yeah, tap in, see where else you're getting your information from, because I can guarantee you, you're getting lots of information that you might be missing. So that's the end of this story. I am sending so much love to you. I hope that you have an absolutely marvelous day, and just know that I'm sure there's lots of them, but this human being right here is just sending you so much love and so much peace. Be well. Take care.